Hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to Tactical and Practical Thursdays. You know what we do here on Tactical and Practical Thursdays. We roll up our sleeves and we use the software. Last time we reviewed Jira, we reviewed setting up the idea board through Jira Project Discovery. And today we're going to expand on that. So what we're looking at on my screen is a summary and a testing view for all different ideas as part of Jira Product Discovery. And what you can see here is that there's different columns for goals, comments, insights, impact versus effort, and roadmap. And I'm going to scroll down here because I want to highlight some really cool stuff here that allows us to visually organize our data and by doing so, make it much easier to collaborate with our stakeholders, designers and developers, and even executives in the team. So the first thing we're going to look at is the idea. And one of the ideas here, once again, in a testing environment, is to develop a new rewards program. So you can imagine this would be for a big company that issues credit cards or a financial company or any kind of company that's selling a product that wants to offer you rewards for buying their product. And that's what this idea is for. And it's tied to a goal. Remember in one of the previous videos, and if you don't remember, that's okay, you can review my previous video. We covered setting up goals and linking different epics to goals. So the goal here for this new rewards program is to increase revenue. You can imagine that perhaps you set up a different goal, which is to increase customer satisfaction. So instead of this being revenue focused, this could be customer satisfaction focused. But this is an example goal. The insights is a very cool feature. What this says is that insights, meaning that more than one customer has asked for this. In this example, the number 2 is telling us that 2 customers has asked for this. But what's very cool about this, the insight means that customer A, Mark, versus customer B, Mary, has 2 different insights on how they want to reuse this new rewards program. So maybe customer A, Mark, says, I want to use this new rewards program for cash. Every time I buy something, I want it to give me cash, but maybe Mary says, I want it to accumulate points, and I want to then take those points at the end of the year to buy vacation or something. So Insights allows you to get insight into each of the different customers, and it's all tied here in this nice visual view. Super cool, this is new. The impact versus effort. Now, as you guys know, if you've been following me for a while, you know a lot of what I do is a scale of 1 to 5. So generally when I'm working with my clients and stakeholders, I will get to a data-driven process to prioritize things. And the very simple process is this. I will say to them, on a scale of 1 to 5, what's the value? 1 to 5 being the greatest, 1 being the least. I'll say on a scale of 1 to 5, how long is it going to take to build? On a scale of 1 to 5, what's the risk if we don't do this? And maybe I'll do 1 or 2 different metrics depending on the situation. I'll add those up. I'll take the average of that item. Let's say the average is 3.5 versus the average of this item, which is a 2. And that's how we prioritize things. Now, I've been doing that for years with custom fields. This is built into Jira Product Discovery. I love this. Very simple, impact versus effort. And I'll show you another visual of this in a second, which you're going to love. And what this is saying is that this has a high amount of impact. You see 5, what I would call 5 stars, and a low amount of effort, meaning it has a dramatic value, but it's going to be very little for us to actually do it. So this is something we want to prioritize. The next and last item I'll show you here, and you can customize all these columns, but the last column I'll show you here is a very simple now, next, nice to have roadmap. Now you say, well, Mark, what do you mean now, next, nice to have? This says later and won't do. Now, next, nice to have is a play on roadmaps that I do that I've been personally doing for years. And the reason why I name it that way is because now is a green light. Everything we're working on now. So you say, Mark, well, what's now? Now is the current quarter, right? So the current quarter could be April, May, June, July, August, September, depending on where you are in the year. But it's a 3 to 4 month view where you are right now. Next is the following quarter. Now, next, nice to have. Nice to have is stuff that maybe we won't do or later. The reason why we call it nice to have instead of what they called it here is because we don't want to tell clients, we don't want to tell customers, and we certainly don't want to tell stakeholders we're not going to do it because we don't really know what the future holds. The budget could change. We could get more resources. So what we want to say is this is what we're focused on for the current quarter. This is what we'll work on for the next or the next 2 quarters. This is what we'll do by the end of the year. And then instead of won't do, nice to have is if we get these things done early and there's still budget or resource, maybe we can take this on. Okay. Now, let's go into that view that I was just telling you guys about, that impact versus effort. And let's check out how cool this is. Right here on your left-hand side, they've reorganized this view, impact versus effort. Okay. Oh, that's the assessment. Sorry. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Let's close this out. Ah, oh, beautiful, guys. I love this. So if you've never seen a diagram like this before, let's quickly go through this together. It's actually much easier to read once you know how to read it and what you're looking at. And this is a visual representation to tell you your effort versus your impact, meaning what is the lowest amount of effort, as you can see here, I'm pointing on my screen, versus the highest amount of impact. So in a rewards program, I might say, I've just partnered with a new vendor, and every time you do a charge with that vendor on your credit card, I'm going to give you 5 points. And for me to actually roll that out in actual development efforts, very easy. I can get that done in a couple sprints, but the impact for the customer is extremely high. And then when you look at this bullet, it's saying that this is the feature, the new rewards program. Let's look at the opposite of that example. This is something that's very, very high on effort, meaning it's going to take a long time. It's going to take quarters, 6 months, a year's worth of effort, maybe 8 months, development effort. But the impact to the actual customer is low. So let's see what that is here. And that is exploring virtual travel features, exploring virtual reality travel features. Now, once again, this is in a testing environment. This is just an example. What's great about this visualization here is it shows you your impact versus effort analysis. It's also much simpler than what I've been doing for years, which is scale of 1 to 5. What's the value? Scale of 1 to 5. How long is it going to take to develop? Scale of 1 to 5. What's the risk if we don't do it? Adding all 3 of those up and taking the average. Now, for years, we would do this in a spreadsheet, and then we would import those numbers into a custom field in Jira. You no longer need to do that. You have this very simple impact versus effort analysis. You can still go more granular, but this is really great. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. Right below, the product roadmap. Guys, I love this. I absolutely love this. Once again, like we're reviewing in that all ideas view, you have your now, you have your next, you have your later, and we would rename this. We would not call this won't to. We would say now, next, nice to have. And the reason why we say nice to have, once again, is these are all the things we're focused on for Q1. These are the things we're going to do for Q2 and beyond, maybe Q3, and and If we have more capacity, if we have effort, if we get done early, we can reassess, we can reprioritize based on impact versus effort analysis that we looked at. And maybe these nice to have features and functions we can actually do instead of saying won't do. All right. So you're saying, Mark, well, what is this stuff here on the left that we didn't actually look at in our product roadmap? Well, it says no field value, meaning that we have not put this in a now, next, later column. So prioritize ideas with views and fields. I'm going to hold this with my left button, and I'm dragging it, and I'm dragging it, and I'm going to say later. And boom, there it goes. Now, one key distinction in here that I learned yesterday as part of the Jira product discovery Atlassian community events. Shout out to the Atlassian folks. You guys are excellent. I love these meetings. It was a virtual meeting. I love the meetings you guys also do in Manhattan, where we go in detail on all of the new features and functions, and we talk about these things from people across multiple industries. We discussed the Jira product discovery and Jira product roadmap at length. And one of the key things here is that when you drag this into this later column, it doesn't actually affect the workflow of now, next, later. It just brings us into view. So that's maybe something you want to look at or set up an automated rule so it actually will update the workflow. If you don't care about workflow stuff, you could just simply drag it and drop it like I have. Okay. Let's look at the timeline. Everybody loves a good old-fashioned Gantt chart timeline. I certainly do. This is the last thing we'll look at. Then we'll do a recap. Let's look at how beautiful this timeline is here. Boom. I love this thing. Okay. Let's talk about why I love this. As someone that has been creating project plans, Gantt charts, project charts, scorecards, and things like Microsoft Project, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint for years, or doing these really granular project plans in Microsoft Project for people. By people, I mean stakeholders and clients, only to say, Mark, we don't know how to use Project. Can't you just make this easy for us to view in PowerPoint? And spending all that time. Instead, wouldn't it be easier to just say, here's a custom URL, stakeholder. You can come here and you can see real time the progress of what the team is working on. You can check this anytime you want, and we'll go over it with you once a month, once a quarter, once every 2 weeks. We'll actually do a call with you. We'll do a screen sharing session. We'll come to your office. We'll come on site and we'll go through this with you. But if you like, in the effort of full transparency, you can come here anytime and look at it. That's why this is so powerful. Not only is this visually, beautifully, excellently laid out from an organizational perspective, so you see exactly what's happening per each quarter, as I'm showing here on my screen. And you can customize any and all of these views, but it allows for the clients to come here and see what's happening in a real-time view. Another additional feature here, in addition to being able to customize the views and the fields that I'm showing here with my mouse, is it's broken down by team. So from a program perspective where you're managing multiple teams and multiple product rollouts, it's good to be able to see what the different teams are working on so you can keep the orchestra playing and keep all the instruments in sync, so to speak. But it's also visually very good to be able to expand and collapse here, like you see I just did for Team Alpha. Okay, so let's recap again super quick. We covered the Jira product discovery, all ideas. This is a place where all clients and stakeholders, developers and designers can come and add their ideas. They add their ideas based on a goal. We link those goals to epics. We can have multiple customer insights adding into here, meaning how customers use this actual feature and function, because how I want to use it may be different than someone else, but it still contributes to the same feature or function, the same idea or goal. The very simple impact versus effort analysis and the now, next, nice to have roadmap view. This is that impact versus effort analysis in this visual bubble scatter chart, which is super easy to see. The least amount of effort, the highest amount of impact. which is going to keep our clients and customers coming back for more. The roadmap view in a now, next, later, nice to have view where we can see exactly what we're working on for each quarter. And we can drag things into any column that we want. And then lastly, the Gantt chart, which we can make available to stakeholders so they can track our progress real time. We can filter this by quarter, as you see here, or any timeline. We can break it down by team, and we can add in new fields. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me on Tactical and Practical Thursdays, where we roll up our sleeves, we use the software. We discovered the Jira product discovery today. This is an amazing visual tool to use to manage large organizations, rolling out projects and products, and to do it in a visual way, which helps to keep everyone on the same page. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to help you work through this, think through ideas, or even just set this up. I hope you guys have a great day. Hustle harder, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.